In December 2019, unknown virus originated, named as 2019 novel coronavirus, which caused cluster of pneumonia cases in China. But coronavirus क्या है? 18 साल पहले चाइना में सार्स नाम का एक डिसीज स्प्रेड हुआ था, वो भी कोरोना वायरस की वजह से। सार्स की वजह से ओवर 8,000 पीपल सिक हुए थे, which results in 774 deaths. मेजॉरिटी ऑफ डेथ्स चाइना और अदर एशियन कंट्रीज में हुए थे, बट कनाडा में 251 केसेस थे जिसमें 43 लोगों की डेथ हुई थी। सो जो आइडिया था सार्स का स्प्रेड होना रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड में, वो एक काफ़ी रियल कंसर्न था। सो बेसिकली कोरोना वायरस एक लार्ज ग्रुप ऑफ वायरसेस है जो क्राउन की तरह दिखते हैं अंडर अ माइक्रोस्कोप। वास्ट मेजॉरिटी ऑफ कोरोना वायरस सिंपली कॉज द कॉमन कोल्ड, बट दे कैन आल्सो कॉज डेडली ग्लोबल पैंडेमिक लाइक सार्स। Another example, MERS, which is basically the SARS of Saudi Arabia, which has infected over 1,300 people and killed over 500, more deadlier than SARS. Currently, coronavirus start off as animal diseases and then they jump to humans. According to research, SARS civet cats से spread हुआ था and MARS कैमल से। इनिशियली कोविड सिटी ऑफ वुहान के सी फूड एंड लाइव एनिमल मार्केट एरिया से स्टार्ट हुआ था। हियर इज समथिंग स्केरी, द इंक्यूबेशन पीरियड फॉर द वायरस इज 14 days. दैट इज द टाइम बिटवीन एक्सपोजर एंड द फर्स्ट साइन ऑफ सिम्टम्स। सो मे बी आपको पहले से ही कोविड हो एंड फॉर द नेक्स्ट 14 days आप दूसरों को भी वायरस से एक्सपोज कर रहे हो बिना पता चले। द बेसिक रिप्रोडक्शन नंबर ऑफ वुहान कोविड appears to be around 2, but some estimates that it as high as 5. For comparison, SARS was between 2 and 5 and seasonal flu is around 1.3. Also, MERS R0 was लेस देन 1. R0 की कैलकुलेशन काफ़ी चेंज होती है, डिपेंड अपॉन पीपल कितने अवेयर हैं डिसीज़ को लेके एंड हमारी गुड पब्लिक हेल्थ सर्विस इसे काउंटर करने के लिए क्या रिस्पॉन्स कर रही है। बट एक और प्रॉब्लम है लोगों को लेके जिसे हम एसिम्प्टोटिक कैरियर्स कहते हैं, जो कि डिसीज़ को स्प्रेड कर रहे हैं विदाउट शोइंग एनी सिम्टम्स। लुक लाइक इन्हीं लोगों की वजह से वुहान में कोरोना वायरस ज़्यादा स्प्रेड हुआ है। आइडेंटिफाइंग दीज पीपल एंड क्वारंटाइनिंग देम, दैट इज द की टू स्टॉपिंग द स्प्रेड ऑफ दिस वायरस। सो दिस डिसीज अपीयर्स टू हैव फर्स्ट जंप to humans in early December. By the end of December, China health officials reported to the WHO, and 2 weeks later, the virus's full genetic sequence was isolated and published for anyone to look at. With SARS, it took 5 months before it was fully sequenced, and Zika from the Brazilian Olympics wasn't even identified for entire year. Now इस virus sequence को लेके world wide labs में study हो रही है, and previously SARS और MERS के outbreak की वजह से global health community ने काफी अच्छे से prepare कर लिया था। Also, China health infrastructure has improved quite a bit since SARS, but Wuhan is a big city with a population of 11 million. So China has deployed architects and builders to construct a new hospital in just 10 days. Also, traveling in and out of Wuhan is banned along with other cities in Hubei province. Whole city looked like a ghost town in the time of New Year celebration. इसकी वजह से कई theories suggest करी गई हैं, जैसे कि China इस outbreak का fully extent disclosure नहीं कर रही है, like the number of people who is infected may be 5 times more. I think China is telling at least half the truth, but also they hide the full extent of the outbreak when it happened with SARS. Also, COVID spread in several other nearby countries like India, Singapore, South Korea, Japan, Australia, and so on. In India, major airports पे health screening already set up कर दी गई है. Meanwhile, bunch of US companies and other foreign nations have either cancelled or limited their business trip to China, and airlines are also just limiting the total number of flights to and from China. We are at a stage where number of Wuhan COVID cases and deaths are still rising every day, but it is also entirely contained within China right now. Every death so far has been in China and in neighboring countries. Also, WHO has already declared international public health emergency. So the question is, should you be worried? And answer is yes. Symptoms ranging from mild to severe can be fever, cold, coughing, shortness of breath, pneumonia, kidney failure, and death. Compromised immune system for old and young people and people with other medical related problems, plus pre-existing condition and low immunity in system put these people at a higher risk. Other people at higher risk can be close contact with animals such as live animal market workers and caring for those with infections such as family member, friends, or healthcare workers. Point is, majority portion of Indian population is undernourished. While our healthcare system has good information and chain of command, the lack of staff and beds in most underdeveloped states are the problem. And also we don't have ability to build a hospital in under just 10 days. Also MR is unknown right now. COVID can be diagnosed by a test called PCR. Viruses are usually transmitted through droplets created when an infected person coughs or sneezes or through something that has been contaminated with the virus. Virus हमारी बॉडी में स्किन के थ्रू एंटर नहीं कर सकता. It need a mucous membrane, which means our eye, mouth or nose. That is why we keep hearing don't touch your face. Here is interesting fact that PCR test is used to detect the virus takes a certain amount of time. For context, India has only couple of facilities for PCR testing. Treatment is supportive care, no specific medication for the virus, also no vaccine to protect against the virus. But treatment and vaccine are in development. How to prevent COVID? Avoiding close contact with those who are unwell or sick. Appropriate use of mask. Washing your hands regularly with soap and use of a hand sanitizer. Covering your mouth and nose while coughing or sneezing with a medically masked tissues or flexed elbow. Some suggestion and common sense from my side. Please don't buy a lot of masks and create shortage and price hike for the others. Most of us are middle class. If you are feeling unwell, stay home. But if you have a fever or any symptoms, seek early medical attention and share your previous travel history with your healthcare provider. Do not allow news to make you panic. Also keep that in mind. Stigma, xenophobia and racism toward Chinese people. A lot of people, especially we Indians, are saying this always happen in China and relating it a lot to the type of foods that Chinese people eat. We need to listen and trust public health professionals, and we need not to overreact. And lastly, we need not to use this as an excuse to be racist. Just remain calm and take all the precautions mentioned on the WHO website. Lastly, check the websites below for the most up-to-date information.